Bexley has a question that he had asked in the office hours thread where he's wanting to understand the process needed to pull a specific fields data from a variable or cookie where the data in the variable is a JSON array. And then he also has some styling and CSS questions. Bexley, are you good to come share your screen and let us help you?
So I'm dealing with that one now. So I think, was it Drew? You answered this one in the Discord for me.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just playing with that now. I'll share my screen. I've got a couple other little questions as well. So I'll see if this works.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pulling, don't know if you can see this with how small it is, but in the inspect window on the side, I'm pulling a data collection, like a single row of a data collection into this calc user settings using the transform. Whoops. And then, yeah, I see all the field identifiers. So in my flow, I'm using calc user settings .0, then the field. Should that work?
Yeah. Yep. Looks like it.
Okay. So yeah, when I first did it, I didn't have the 0 and it wasn't quite working in some of these. Oh, let's see what's going on. Was there? But I had the wrong context for that one, so that's why that wasn't coming through. Yeah, I guess the other thing with this is I'm sort of grappling with variables and then trying to decide how to deal with storage, right? So I guess I had a question around when should you use cookies versus local storage, and or just the data collection cache, and what's the trade-offs between them and things like that?
Yeah, I think there's not a great specific answer for cookies versus local storage. It's like very dependent on your situation, I guess. And they're almost the exact same thing. Like the difference, I think we had this like months ago, we talked about this on office hours, and I didn't actually know like the full technical difference. And I said I was going to look it up, but I never did. But one thing I know is a cookie is like, it's like slightly more exposed, maybe you could say. It's like it's in the, it's set as a cookie, and every time you make a request or an API request or send stuff out, that cookie's usually being sent with the request. So it'll do more things, but 99% of the time that's irrelevant to like this kind of build. Like usually you don't care about that. Whereas local storage is not. Local storage is more like a little more hidden, I guess.
Okay.
And then the other difference is cookies have expirations. So you can set a cookie to expire in a week and then it'll go away automatically. And local storage, I think, just stays until you delete it. Or yeah, I guess till you delete it, because it'll stay across sessions. And both of them will stay, like if you close your browser and come back, both of them stay in place. So they're very similar. I think like traditionally it was all cookies and everyone used cookies. And then like more recently, I mean, not like super recently, but more recently, local storage started getting more popular and was like more supported by all the browsers and that kind of thing. But really personal preference, I'd say. I always use local storage personally.
Right. And I guess what's the difference between that and when you hit the data collection and you're using the cache? So it's caching it locally. Is it essentially the same as local storage, and then it periodically pushes it back to the database, or how does that?
Kind of, but if you're using like any kind of data in Builder, Builder will cache it for like that literal session. So like if you close your browser window or if you go to a new page, that cache is gone.
Right.
I think, right? If you go to a new page, it's gone, right, Dorian? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it does not go. Well, it depends. If it's a page and if you're opening a page within itself without replacing it, then it's still there. But as soon as that tab or you open a separate tab, then it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so that's more like real time. Like you want to like to get data from a data collection, you have to go across the network. So like you're literally sending
yeah,
a request across wires and it's coming back. So it takes like those microseconds, and then cache doesn't. So it's like once we do the data, the network request once, Builder will cache it just so that's faster in the future. But as soon as you refresh the page, you'll do another network request next time you request that data.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's much more temporary than the local storage and cookies.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm sort of working through now is structuring, what stuff I want to store locally and how and things like that. But another little question was, or an easy formatting one maybe, is so on this page here, I have a main section, and then I've got a panel, and then sorry, down here, and then I've got this panel on the right. And what I wanted was to have this go all the way top to bottom all the time, similar to the navigation panel over here. And I set the styling, so I actually, whoops. Right panel, there we go. I copied the column style from the nav panel in the SAS data and set the height to 100%. Where is it? Here somewhere, there we go, 100%. But for some reason it's still squashing up like this.
I think the parent is a flex. So I think if you just add like flex grow 1, that should make it expand
In here or in the parent?
in this one here.
Uh,
Like if you add a new property for flex grow.
Flex grow. Okay, so that's not a one that's already.
You can click that new, I don't know, it might be easy to find in here too, but there's a way you can search for them in that used props tab. Yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
start typing flex grow in there.
I think it's flex dash grow. Yeah, you'll see it there in the midway in the list there.
Sorry, it goes away sometimes.
Yeah, we need to make that just stay. And
There's
then
like a
just set it to
timeout or something.
1. Yeah, set it to 1 and I'm gonna see what that does here. Oh, I see. The parent is because it tried to grow sideways. Why wouldn't that do it with the height though?
I think the other thing you could do is if you make the parent height 100%, if the parent is a flex or a grid. I don't know
Yeah,
if that'll
probably.
work. Looks like it won't work though, because that was min height 500 and it didn't work.
Maybe
Yeah.
is there styling at the page level that would make a difference?
No, not at the container here. Like we'll need to see what's on the parent. Because that's the parent's gonna control how the divs
Yeah.
inside of it are gonna.
This
Yeah,
is
so check that class, yeah. That
this
app
one?
calc section, yep.
And then
Yeah.
go to use properties just so you can see it. So we have a width. Where it says align items, set that to the last one on the right there.
This one.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if that changes anything. No, it doesn't.
It gets really tricky with these flex boxes. Like there's
Yeah.
something in here that's just like a little, like basically like I would do the same thing in this situation. I'd be like trying to figure it out. It's not straightforward. So
Can you chat the preview link to that page, or is
Sure.
it behind an authenticated page?
It is, but it's easy. It's just john@doe.com with password as the password.
So I can just test a few things in the inspector and see what it needs.
Dorian, are you going to show your screen so you can show everyone how you're debugging?
Sure.
Super.
Which one is it? No, actually, I need to make this smaller. 1 second, need to resize it because then it's too tiny for everybody. All right. Let's sign in.
So just John at DOE.com and password is the password.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, John.
DOE.com.
Oh, I helped you on this project, didn't I?
Yeah.
To delete some users or something.
That's right.
And what's the password?
Just password all lowercase.
Just
Yeah.
John?
Password.
Password.
Oh, literally password.
Extremely secure.
Yes.
Oh, no, that's definitely like somebody's real email address. And John.
Oh, monkey 123.
All right, let's see. And that's
So
on
it's
the
on
calculator.
Yeah, that's it.
And oh, it's over here. I was like, where is it? This one here, right?
Yeah.
So this is the section. Because even that, which is okay. So it should expand to that.
So what are you checking, Dorian?
I'm just checking the styling on the divs just to see. It's actually the height that's breaking it.
That's funny.
It needs the flex grow, or no, it doesn't even need it. You just need to remove the height and the flex grow. You don't need the height.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's because we changed the line items to be stretched now. So it'll handle that. Flex does a weird thing with the height. So I bet it doesn't like percentages. If I just change this to like pixels or something other, or well, no, I guess it just doesn't want it at all. But yeah, that'll do it. Just remove the height.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, yeah.
Flexbox being
That's it.
Flexbox. It's just so confusing all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So Bexley, do you know what you need to do?
yeah, just did it. So that's good. So I can work it out from there.
Okay, cool. Was there any other styling questions? We can switch back to your screen.
There was one other issue I had, if shouldn't take long, is so I have on this page, I have a grid row here that's working fine. It's updating values in the database, and I have an autosave action that does some calculations and updates another value that affects these numbers up the top here for the total account size. But in this action here, I'm trying to get, whenever I update this, for it to automatically to update this. But it won't work, and I have to like go off the page and back on, like reload it to get it to work. But I use that same action on page load to update this. So it's but in here, I'll show you the action. So in this grid row, I have autosave, and then down the bottom I have run flow on page, account detail, set account size values, and that's the same flow that I run on page load, set account size values here, which works fine when I load the page, but not as an action off the autosave of the grid row.
Yeah, I think it's because you're getting the values from a variable, but they're not being updated right in that flow. Can you take me back to that flow you were just in, the one that you're running here?
On the main page.
Yeah. Like, where are the values coming from?
They're coming from variables on the root.
And what sets that? Is that on the page load or is that on the dashboard? Because what's happening is it is running this, I would bet. It's just
Yep.
those root variable values haven't been updated yet.
Okay.
Like, where do you initially set that data into the root?
I think there's a couple of places. So they get set during this flow
Through
as
here.
well. Yeah, so I've got all these set.
I see it. I see it right away.
Because it's all,
You're setting them to the current page, not the root page.
well, these are.
Oh, that
of
is
them
the root page, I guess.
Those are the
These are
root.
all root page. Yeah.
Never mind.
Is there a weight?
There's some that are current and some that are root. This one's the main one, which is root. And this
Yeah.
does the
Okay, so
calculation.
that's good. And then you're doing the data. Okay, so then they
Yeah.
should be there.
Yeah, and I've got the weights in to make sure it's waiting before it. And that's the
Yeah.
last thing that runs. So that should be there. And it's on the root.
We can, I can try to debug it and see. I can show my screen again. I'll need you to chat me a couple things.
Okay.
Can you go to the page where I need the action ID that you're running in that run flow, but go to the actual page where
Oh, this one.
yeah.
It's easier just yeah, this is it. So what do you need from here?
And just on that first action that's selected, if you put your mouse over it, you'll see the 3 dots. Click on that and then copy that action ID. You can just click in there, it'll select it. And then just copy and put that in the chat.
Okay.
And then let me show my screen. If you want to stop sharing yours. Okay, so let's take a look. Where that's at. It's like 22 something.
Dorian, will you kind of talk to us a little bit about what you're doing as you do it?
Yeah, essentially what I'm going to do here is I just want to put a breakpoint on that specific action. And the reason is because I want to see, where those variables are in the state before as it begins to hit that action, or even if it even gets there. Because then they'll tell us if that run flow is actually triggering that other action on that other page properly. And to do that, if you open the debug tools and you go to sources, you'll find a directory here called documents-scus.builder.com, and then a folder files/prod, and then you're going to go to objects.js. And this code changes every time we do builder updates sometimes, so it might not always be in the same spot. Right now it's on line 2254, but it's this here, and essentially we're just going to put a breakpoint in here. And the syntax is just the action ID. This is going to be an array, so just comma separate if you want to pause on multiple actions. And we're just getting the details of that action. So how can I run that? Where was that?
Yeah, go to the account
Here.
Yep. So it runs on load of the page. when
Got
you-
it.
So
So
we-
let me see where it's at now. So it does run on page load.
Yep.
Or that's not what I wanted. What was the name of the variable?
So that's the three there. So account value USD is the main one, and then the other two are derived from that.
So this one here.
Yep.
Okay, so and we confirm it works on page load because we can see it and the value is there.
Yep.
And that's all there. And then I make a change here, right?
Yeah. Just
Oh,
change the value.
Yeah, it's not running.
Not
the
running.
flow. Oh, no, it did.
Huh?
Just took a second. I think because it does it after. So that is setting this value.
Yeah, that looks right.
And it updated it. So it is correct.
It's just not setting it into the
So it is setting it.
elements, but not into the elements itself.
So let me, I'm gonna remove that specific one. Just so that we can run through every action after that.
Hmm.
So then the next action is setting this value. Which I did update that. You see
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Look. I wonder
Yeah.
if you have something running afterward. Because that's all correct, right?
Yeah, it is now.
It's
Yeah.
updating.
It could be something running after, or maybe like a timing issue. Because sometimes when you use these breakpoints, it's actually like pausing everything when you're on the breakpoint looking.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
if there's a timing issue, like when it runs real time, it doesn't work, but the breakpoint works. I've seen that before.
Yeah, so it didn't update there.
Hmm.
Dorian, is this not something you can just add a data listener for?
No, because it's not data driven. They're just variables.
Yeah, it eventually updated. Yeah, it must be a timing thing.
It is updating. One thing you can do is move the run flow to happen before you save it to the database. Because right now you have it afterward, because it doesn't
Yeah.
need to wait for the save. That can happen afterward, you know?
Yeah.
Because all this is just JavaScript on the form, and that can just happen in real time. You don't need to wait for the record save. Unless your calculation up here depends on something in that save.
No,
No.
it's all on the variables.
Yeah, I would just trigger that immediately after you set the variables. Make sure you do have a wait, because that will make this feel instant. And then the save will just happen on its own behind the scenes. Because I think that's what's happening. It's waiting for that save. So it
Yeah.
does work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
And
it
then
looks like it's just a
then-
timing sync.
Mhm.
All right, so Bexley, do you
Cool.
want to maybe try that out while we take another question? And then
Yeah.
and then we can always jump back and see
Yeah,
see
no problem.
if it's still not working. Okay, awesome. So Dorian, what was the suggestion again? One more
Just moving the order of the actions to move the run flow that gets triggered when you change the accounts amount to happen before the record save. That way it just feels more real time. And it's
Okay,
not
anything
waiting
on
on.
the wait or don't waits.
Yeah, just make sure you have a wait between the variables that you're setting in the root and the run flow, just so that those are there before it runs that.
Okay, Bexley got all that? Yeah.
I
Okay,
think he's on mute, but yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah, I was on mute, sorry. It's all good.
It's okay. Okay, cool. So we'll circle back if we need to take another look. Let's check out Josh. You had mentioned you were working through a problem with the select menu. Are you down to show us?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. And it's like I mentioned it in bugs the other day. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but I'm getting like the object on the front end in the drop down. I threw pictures in there yesterday, but this is the object, or this is like the drop down. I'm trying to just pull in a list of coaches' names as the values. I know earlier I had an issue when use field names was on, so it's not on. Same project, but it seems like a different problem. There is a record value in here, which is coming just from a different data collection that's setting the value in for it. And then I'm just displaying, supposed to just display the coach name with a field value of coach ID. However, when I pull up an example, it's object. It's pretty clear, like it is pulling in the ID and like that value is like the one, but it's just.
Yeah, I think it's the field names. If go to the data tab and instead of doing all fields, select ID and then add a second field for the name or the one that you're using. And then let's try that.
Undefined. So it changed something.
Yeah, it's like the reference. Go
See if
back.
that might have reset this for some reason.
And those are the same fields. Like change the field to a different one because that won't trigger. Yeah, and then change it back. That's interesting.
Are you allowed to use both data binding,
Yes.
both tabs?
In that select, yeah.
Yeah, the collection sets the options and the value sets the selected value. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's just coming from a different thing. No.
Yeah, that's coming from the class that the coach ID.
Do this for me. Go back to the collection list and turn off the cache. I wonder if this collection's being cached somewhere else. And we just need to find where that is.
Yeah.
What it is. We need to find somewhere before this page load, you're doing a request for those. And you'll need to just get all the fields over there. Because then what's happening here, it's kind of that got you that Drew mentioned in Discord earlier this week. It's like Builder thinks the data is all there, even though specific fields haven't been requested. That's definitely something we need to solve.
Okay.
But to get around it, you can typically just pre-cache all the fields and all the records before somewhere in the variable. Like you don't even have to use it, just cache it somewhere.
Okay.
And downstream, it'll just work because all the data will be there.
So that did, at least in the moment, it did pull up now the names here.
Yeah.
Where would I do that?
Usually the way I track it is I go to the data collections for like coaches, which is what you're building the select, and I grab that that bottom right ID that says filter set ID. Just copy that, then go to the preview.
The preview?
And then open the network. And then in the search, click the little search icon there and just paste that in there. And then refresh the page. There, what? Why didn't it search?
Is this the
Or
same
maybe-
page?
What is it?
So this is like, I'm actually a couple pages.
Oh, gotcha. I wonder if it's requesting it somewhere.
Yeah, I would
else.
say like click and get to go through that process until we see that request. Although that was weird, we didn't even see it here.
No, it's like the search is different for some reason. It's like it's not.
Check the beginning because there were some values already in there. I don't know if Josh overrode them or if they got appended in this, in what you pasted, Josh.
Oh, just copy and paste again.
No, I think just look in the, like, go to the right in the search, make sure there's nothing extra in there. Like any spaces
To the
before.
left, I was actually thinking.
No. Remove that and just type the word get and then a /. It's like not searching, or what is this? It's like a different search. Close that little
Oh, I
search.
see it down there. Is it the N5H?
I see that N5H, yeah. But you're right, Dorian, the search looks different than I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, normally it just filters the list.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. We don't want to search. I meant the filter. Close that little, yeah, put it in there.
There you go.
There we go. So it did happen. So click on that first one. And then expand that object there. Yeah, so somewhere you're requesting these and then expand one of those just so we can see the fields. And you're only getting the ID essentially.
Okay.
So you'll need to find where this initial request is happening and just get everything. That way you can then turn off the cache on the select because you wouldn't want to do a network. It'll feel slow, you know?
Okay.
So you'll have to search for that somewhere before you're getting those.
The other thing you can do, like the quick, like the hack way, not a hack, but like the quick and dirty way, which is what I usually do, is like on the page load or the page binding of probably the root page or just somewhere, you can just set a variable where you pull in all of those coaches and you don't use the variable at all. But once you pull it in once from the network, Builder will only use the cache in the future. So it's like, as long as that's like one of the first things that happens when the page loads, it's always going to work. The way Dorian's describing is like better because you'll find exactly where it needs to be and fix it. But if you can't find it,
Yeah, you can.
So what's happening here too? I guess what page do you think I would need to start debugging this on? Because this is like a full page, and then I click on these. This loads another page into this.
Yeah,
Refresh again so we can see it. Now that we're filtering it properly, we'll see. So like when this loads, it's not
Nothing
there.
happened.
So now open the next one.
Click on coaches.
So it's
yeah,
in
it's
here.
when you open coaches.
But it's interesting. I also like coaches are loading on classes.
Oh, I see. So in that case, you would maybe want to put it on the root page. It'll kind of cover both those pages.
Yeah.
And so all I'm doing on the root page then of this is on page load, set a variable for that collection.
Yeah. And you won't use it or anything, but it'll just for caching purposes.
Sure. Yeah. Current.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually doesn't matter what page because it just like Builder needs to pull the data and then once it has it, it's good.
And then just all fields. Yeah. And then let's go turn off the cache on the select. Or turn it on, I mean.
Yeah, on the original screen.
Yeah, just to make sure it all works still.
Because that would have worked for you. You could have left it as you had it, but it would just make one extra network request. So this is better from a technical perspective.
Just get, there we go. And turn that back on.
Yeah.
All right. And then in theory, should I just test?
Yeah, you can change it back to just all fields now.
All fields.
Yeah. That wasn't the issue. So and you should be good there.
So just hit refresh here. Boom.
Yeah, nice. And no more extra requests. It actually sped it up.
Yeah.
Because now that you're caching everything, remember before you had 3 separate network requests, now you only have 1. Everything's just cached local now.
So ideally, I maybe should do something like that for all, because there's like 8 different collections.
Yeah, I was gonna mention like you can do that. Like I usually do that last step sometimes, like in a cleanup kind of phase. When I'm trying to make everything go faster. I'll just pre-cache a bunch of collections. Sometimes it really depends on what you're doing too. You kind of have to think about each one, but usually it's totally fine.
Yeah. And I use that method that I just showed you where I go get that filter set ID for all my collections in my project. And I just like run through my app and I just watch If
Okay.
I see like tons of them, then I know I have an issue and I need to go cache some things or get smarter with the setup. It's a good way to find all those things and speed up your app.
That's really helpful because that's probably been my biggest problem with this. Like, I know I also had like grid lists inside of grid lists. I think maybe a third deep at one point, and I was like, that's going slowing everything down like crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and if you cache it all properly, then it'll even like 5 levels deep, it's still pretty instant.
because it's all local, then it's like the data's already
Exactly.
there. It's just okay.
It's all JavaScript.
Super helpful. Cool. Well, that's what I needed, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
I have to drop too. I'm supposed to be interviewing somebody right now, but I want to.
Nice.
All right. Have fun, Josh. Thank you.
Bye.
Later.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So we'll just keep rolling. That was great. So did anyone else in here? I see Mitch, and actually, Mitch, you had a question that I don't think we answered about clearing a grid search. So let's go over that. So Mitch's question was, how do I clear a grid search? I tried using the grid search action with nothing in the value, but that didn't work.
Actually, it started working and I don't know why it didn't work and now it works, but I think it's working now. So I have a different question, but I think that's solved unless there's something else, another way to do it besides just putting nothing in the
That
search.
should work. Yeah, I was gonna suggest if it didn't for some reason, like if you have a flow that you originally used to populate it, you can just like run that flow again. So instead of like doing the search, just repopulate it with the original data, but it should work by clearing the search anyway.
Yeah, and there is one thing, like if you're using an input element that's type search, so you get that little X on the right to clear the value. There is a
Yes.
special event you have to set when they hit the X. The event is just called search, all lowercase. And you essentially set the same flow that you set on the key up. And that's what enables clicking the little X on that to run and reset the grid.
I'm actually doing the search on the back end. It's just so I can choose specifically what to say. So there's no search box.
Got it. Yeah, cool.
But I do have another question if there's time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out the best approach for doing a, let me just share my screen. So the basic concept here is, people can add these modules to the page, whatever it might be. But what I'm trying to figure out is how to show this grid on mobile, like the best UI approach to it. So, I mean, my initial thought was to have, basically turn a grid into a swiping left or right or some sort of slider. But I actually think I saw that in Discord somewhere. What's the best approach to making this friendly to mobile?
I think it's a tough question. Like it depends on so many factors and there's so many options. But I would say at least the easiest approach is to just stack them. So like you can try to do horizontal scrolls or other things that actually you'll be able to do them no problem, but you have to do a lot of testing and make sure it's good on all the devices and that kind of thing. And what I often do just to keep it simple is like if I have stuff side by side, when it gets to a certain screen size, I just stack them all. Otherwise, it really depends. I mean, we could figure it out, but we'd have to look at your setup and really see what your original styles are and how we can change them on a media query. But sometimes it gets really tricky depending on how your setup is.
I mean, is there, from a builder perspective, to turn a grid into a slider back and forth, how would you do that?
We actually we implemented one in a previous office hours. We did bring in a third-party library that's open and free, and it worked out pretty well.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember what that was called? I can look for it.
I think it was just slider. I think.
I think the slider JS.
I think I created a template for it. Let me search my project templates. 1 second.
And I know that we have an element that's a grid that moves from right to left.
Oh, glide JS, someone just posted.
Okay, Fraser's got that. You know what Emmanuel, how we built that grid kit? We'd never released it because we have to go in and, you know, do what we do, but zhuzh it up, zhuzh.
But I don't
Um,
think that's
that's
the
the right word.
slider. And I don't have that project. Maybe you created it, Drew?
Is slider the accurate term though? Like, is that, you're just wanting something that scrolls left to right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in a,
When you hit the end, it starts at the beginning again.
yeah, it's like,
Kind of like a carousel type of.
Oh, I see.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's
you
not
know,
like
if it
ours
has
either.
buttons, so be it. But honestly, for mobile, it's a pain in the ass, you know, to have buttons. So to do it just sliding would be the way to do it.
Okay.
I don't
I
think I
don't think
have
you
it,
have
Tori.
that,
I'm looking
Drew.
at my other account right now. In case.
Yeah, because I can't find it.
Did you
But
search
we
for
did do
glide
one.
or slider?
I don't remember what it was. So I think Chief sent us the library that he found, and maybe he created a template for it too.
Yeah, I don't have it.
It's been a while, but we have an office hours of one. And
Well,
I remember it being mobile friendly and everything. Like it was pretty simple to implement.
So if you use like because I was thinking about an outside carousel, but how would you tell the carousel to use the specific row pages, given that you don't, like, that was where my brain was starting to hurt.
Gotcha. Yeah, every library will be different, but essentially you're gonna first bring in a page header for the library. And then you'd have to look at their docs on how to target your grid element. It's usually just like an attribute that you put a
Okay.
specific name and that
Well,
you'll
if it's
do
in
directly.
another office hours, I can also check that.
But we do have it. We did it.
I'll try and search Mitch
Okay, cool.
for what it was. We just implemented a library for a slider.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it is, or what
Okay.
library it was, but it was a while ago, probably earlier this year.
Okay, so let me see if I can find that.
And Cord, did you mention there's actually an element that, or an action that does this, or is
Yeah,
this?
I mean, we can share it as a pattern. So when we were back, when we explored the option of having the use, you know, y'all do bounties, like if the community wanted to see something like an action or an element, we'd put it out in the community. And Emmanuel made a grid kit that has a grid that slides, you know, left to right through the data. And so we haven't gone in and like really done any modifications or clean anything up. Our intention was to do that and then share it as elements, but I could just share a pattern link with you and you can look at it. And if you want to try using it and expand upon it, just bring it into your project, and then it'll create the element and you can use it.
Yeah, that would be great.
So let me see, I'll turn that into a pattern and share it, but just heads up, we haven't had like a super close look at the setup, but
Oh, that's fair.
okay. All right.
Cool.
And it was Glide JS. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So I will find that and then share that with you, Mitch. So we do still have some time left. Is there anyone in here who needed help with something that wants to jump on? Otherwise, I know we've got kind of like some general questions. Formatting phone numbers. Yeah, let's talk about it. Do you have something you want to share? Z Spaceman, or just talk about it in general? Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, feel free to share your screen and we'll take a look at your phone number field. Okay, so then let me see. Oh, Alex, actually, we can chat about the report stuff as well. And then Z Spaceman, did you want to show something so we could look at that phone number? Having monitor issues, that's okay. Yes, to Bexley's question, he's asking if themes are useful for light dark mode. They are, but I can't even remember. We took themes out and then we put it back in, but it's not fully.
Yeah, like you can get it done, like it'll all work in the executing project. The parts that we have kind of turned off and haven't turned on are being able to toggle between those themes in the studio to see it in the studio. So you kind of have to test it, like build it in the studio, but you'll have to test it in the preview link to
Oh,
see.
Drew, you also asked if there were any issues that with the themes.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I can't recreate, but in one situation, it was not accepting the variable inside, the CSS. I just could not get it to stick in the, like, if you're looking at the like the visible elements or whatever, not the actual code, like it was doing something weird where it was showing for the variable, it was showing the name of one of the themes that was not the theme that was selected or default, which was just whatever, it was still working. But yeah, there's this one scenario where I could not get it to accept whatever, the theme item was. So
That's what I expected more. I forget what day it was when I asked that, but I expected more problems as an answer, but that makes sense to me that would be it. It's probably just like a small bug, that we would normally fix. It's just we haven't really like kept the themes up as much as we should. But someone asked in Discord, like, is it gonna go away? And I think the answer is no. Like, I think it's useful, especially for light dark mode. So we'll bring it up to snuff at some point, and probably whatever that bug is, we'll get it taken care of.
yeah, that was me asking about it, because it's central to my whole thing. So I really don't want it to go away.
Yeah, no, it's something like when I first started using Builder, I used it all the time, and then I don't really use it that much anymore. I don't think any of us really do, like in day to day. So we just kind of like went by the wayside. But I've noticed when people come into Builder, it's often one of the first things they gravitate to.
Yeah.
So,
That's interesting. Okay, well, worst case, if we ever decide to do away with it, we'll just leave a little Easter egg for Mitch somewhere where he can collect it to show it.
I don't
feel
think
so
we'll get
special.
rid of it though. It
yeah, it's
won't
useful.
go away.
We should have it.
It's very useful.
Okay,
It's just CSS. It's not.
so let's jump over to Z Spaceman. He's ready. So show us what you've got.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so this is the project. So this is basically a front end for salespeople, and this is a back end for managers. Big shout out to Dorian for helping me figure this all out. Okay, so Drew, I messaged something in Discord about this. So here's kind of the issue I'm getting. When a salesperson goes in here and inputs a phone number, it comes over to the sales manager, or this way. And I'd like it to be formatted the same way every single time, because not everybody inputs it the same way.
Cool.
So
Did you see my response with the path?
I did. It was kind of Chinese to me a little bit.
Yeah, I was
so-
gonna say I could probably just explain what each of those is, because I kind of just pasted. Actually, when I sent that, I was sitting with Mark at a coffee shop, and I was like, I just wrote the craziest answer in Discord, like off the top of my head with no explanation. But yeah, basically what I was doing with those paths is like in the input as they type, it would take whatever value they type, remove any parentheses, remove any spaces, remove any dashes. So you're left with just numbers. And then I just kind of like use the concatenate to reformat that string. So it's like you manually do a parenthesis first, and then you take the first 3 characters of that phone number, and then you close the parenthesis, and then you do a space. So I was kind of setting that up, and we can walk through that right now if you want.
Yeah, if you guys got time, let's do it.
And I don't know, is there like, so when people type in this box, they can type anything they want, right? Like they can type a parenthesis, like if they choose, they might put their area
Yes.
code in parentheses.
Yeah.
So I was imagining you would do this like before you save it. So it'll take whatever values in there and replace it into itself formatted. So what you can do is wherever it wherever it saves that value, I don't know if you have it on auto save or in a flow somewhere. Okay. So yeah, so what we'll do is instead of actually what triggers create customer, the add button?
Yeah.
So maybe what we can do is create a new, like a brand new flow for specifically formatting the inputs. You can call it like format phone number or something like that. And then what this will be, let's see, you can sort of do this like in one shot, probably like set it directly in itself, but just to be a little more clear, let's set a variable first. So just do an action for set variable.
Mm,
I see it down there.
is it down there? Let's see.
It's like variable, the word variables in the description of so many actions that they
I
just
know.
all show up.
If only we could favorite them.
It's like halfway. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Okay.
All right, and then you can just do current page is fine. And the name actually doesn't matter. We're gonna use it right away, but basically it's like the phone number is what we're setting. So you can even just call it phone number if that's not another variable already. And then for the value, change that text to from element value. And then select the phone number input. And then, so right now that variable will be like whatever they typed in there. So you can either add a path here or add a path when you set it back into the element. It doesn't matter, but we can just click the add path here. And so the first thing we'll do would be to sort of like to sanitize it. So to remove any parentheses, any spaces, and any dashes. So you can do that with a path of replace all. It's like replace, it's a capital A, like you'll see it come up there. And the first parameter, try just typing a parenthesis. Actually, let's do space first, just so you know, because the parentheses, there's one little gotcha. So let's do the spaces first. So in that parameter, just type space. And then in the second parameter, you leave it blank. So basically you're saying replace all spaces with nothing, right? And so that's good to go. You can just select out
You
of
might
that
be
then.
able to just use the remove special character path, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good call
They'll
actually.
just take care of it all.
That's way better because then you don't have to worry about
They'll
if they
remove
do, the way
everything.
I did it, if they typed a letter in their phone number on accident, it wouldn't catch that. So, or I guess that wouldn't still, but they'll catch
Yeah.
other stuff. So actually like delete that with the trash can. And instead of the replace all, just start typing remove and it should say remove special characters. So you can just use that. And I don't think you need a parameter. The parameter
Those
here
are
would be
exceptions. The
keep
ones that
certain
want to allow.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're good there. And then the next action, do a set element value. And we're going to go back to that in a second. I just want to like show this working before we go back.
Mm,
Element set value, it's called, I think. I always say it backwards.
To the right, one right, and then one down.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this
Phone number.
one, select the phone number, yep. And then instead of text, you do from variable. And use that variable we just created, I think we called it phone number. And then put a weight in between those two actions. So right now, this will just remove the special characters and set it back into itself. And then you're gonna run this flow. So if you click on the actual phone number input, you can run it on the key up action. So you could do this actually like not on the key up. You could do it like when it changes or something, but if you do it on the key up as they type, it's gonna reformat in real time. And I already forget what we called it.
I know, something
dash
Format
phone
dash
number.
phone number.
Phone number.
Yeah, one down for you. You're so close to it.
Oh my God, I got too many. Where'd it go?
It's like down
Like
three.
Down, format dash.
Oh,
down.
format phone number. There we go. Okay.
So yeah, so test this now. And basically type a phone number with a space in it and it'll like remove the space. You don't have to like, you just have to type in the input. You don't have to do anything else yet. So if you just start typing, I'll type a space and watch it remove itself. No?
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe spaces aren't special characters. that why, Dorian?
Mm,
Type a parenthesis and see if it removes.
or we might have to refresh, make sure the action's there. Cause it's.
Oh, I
it-
haven't published this yet, so this
Oh,
isn't
oh,
the,
okay.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
alright.
go to the
Yeah,
preview.
yeah.
Good call.
Let's see, user workspace. Probably have to sign in real quick. No, we're good. Okay. Let's try parentheses. There we go. So that removed that. And then, yeah, so it won't even let me do that now. Okay.
Yep. Which if you don't want it to be like that, you can switch this. So at the end, if you're like, I don't like how it won't let me, we can actually just run this format thing right before it saves instead of running it every time they type. But for now, this is fine. The next step is to actually get it to be the format you want, basically. So in that same action where you're setting the setting the variable and then setting it back into the element, go to the set value one, the second one. And so, or actually go to, so this doesn't matter. The order, where you do this doesn't actually matter. Right now you have the variable where you're sanitizing it. You're removing all the special characters. Let's just keep that. And then on the next set value, we'll put different paths on that one. You can actually these paths can actually go anywhere. It's sort of confusing. But so yeah, on here, after the phone number variable name, not a new action, but just add a new path. So you can get out of here.
So add another path.
Yep, right there. Or actually, this isn't a path. This is a concatenate. So this one, instead of the path, or instead of the from variable like you have it, change from variable to concatenate. It's like up in the top right, that little input type. Yeah. Concatenate's like towards the bottom. Yeah. And so here, instead of using the variable directly, we're just going to kind of reformat it ourselves. And we're going to use that format that you have. So it starts with a parenthesis always. And so you can type parenthesis, just the first one for now.
Oh, just for, okay.
Just the opening one. Yep. And then see that add another value below it, because concatenate is just going to string together a bunch of values right below the parenthesis. Actually, it says plus. Add another value.
Okay.
Yep. And so here you can do from variable instead of text. Yeah. And do that phone number variable. It was called phone number. So you just type in the variable name. And so right now, if you ran this, it would actually do whatever you put in the phone number. It would say parenthesis and then whatever that is. But we only want the first three numbers. So you can add a path to that. And there's a path called substring. There's actually one called substring and substr, which I think are the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just pick one of those. Oh, actually, it needs numbers in there. So there's some
Yeah.
parameters. Oh yeah. So the way that the substring works is you say the first character, comma, the length. Actually, I think you do the first character, comma, then the last character you want. But in this case, it's the same. It'd be 0, 3. And we'll try it. It might be 0, 2, you'll have to play. But that's all you need for that one. And then you can add another value with that little link. Yep. And you can close that parenthesis and then type space. And so you can kind of see how we're forming that phone number. And so if this comes down to it where something's a little off, this is where you'll have to just finesse this. And then you can add another value. And this one, it's going to come from the variable phone number again, but we'll do a different substring. So you do variable first, phone number, and then add a path. And this time you do substring again. But instead of starting at 0, which is the first character, you start at probably this. We'll have to test this. It's probably 4, but it might be 3. It starts counting from 0, so sometimes it gets really confusing. But go back, click on that word substring again, so the parameters come up. Yeah, and in there, type try to type 4, 7. I have a feeling these numbers are going to be wrong. But that's okay. We can easily fix them. So yeah, that's good there. And then you can add another value. And it's just a space, or it's a dash for this one. So it's we took the parenthesis, the first 3 numbers, closed it, space, the next 3 numbers, dash, and then add another value for the last 4 numbers, which is going to be from variable instead of text. phone number. And then substring for a path of substring again. And then this one, so you can click on substring, so we get those parameters up. This one, it'll start on 8. These numbers are definitely wrong now I say it. Just do 8 comma 10. But I know this is going to be wrong because we ran out of numbers. I don't know if that makes sense as I'm saying this, but I can tell just because I'm familiar with it. But
I'll
that's okay
rewatch
for now,
this
'cause
a few
it'll do
times.
something and we'll look at it and then we'll just make a quick adjustment. So that's good there. And then you're done with what I was trying to get at. So we should preview and then we'll just fix those numbers. And I don't know if you have to refresh or not, but yeah.
Woo.
Whoa.
Whoa.
So you can tell it's like kind of doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I did, it looks like what I did in the first one is like I did 0, 3. That's wrong. That's gonna have to be 0, 2. So if you go up, yeah. And then I think the next one where I said 4, 7 is that 7 is like really wrong. It's really gonna be, I think 3, 3. So it's basically saying start on the 3rd character and take the next 3 characters. Or I guess the 4th character is.
So it's going in basically a hierarchy. The first 3 numbers, then the next 3, and then the next 4.
Yep. And that last one will probably be, instead of 8, 10, it'll probably be 4, or I guess 6, 4. I mean, that's what I mean. You'll probably have to play with these numbers if they're not correct.
Okay.
It'll be easy to play with them once you do it. Yeah. Now try to preview this and hopefully it'll be a little closer to what we want.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Okay. Oh, I can't. Oh. Woo.
I don't know what's going on there. Did you see what I did wrong, Jordan? I don't know why it's going so crazy.
I don't know.
Substring. Yeah, that's interesting because I actually do think that looks correct to me, but I'm definitely missing something, I guess. Can you go back to the preview and just do only 3 numbers and just see if those first 3 are going to go in? Like, did you type 993 or 999?
I'm just typing 9. And it's
Like 1,
repeating
9?
that 9. So every time I type, oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, I know why it's doing that. It's because it's getting the variable. So like I tried to make it
every
easier for everyone
time.
to understand by setting this variable, but that was incorrect actually. That first one, that set variable, we took the input value and set a variable and then remove special characters. But every time you type, it's reformatting it and then it's taking the reformatted version and
Right.
reformatting it again. So that's actually the problem. And I don't think you can do this on key up because that's really what's causing it is you're running it every time there's a key up. So maybe what you can do is instead of key up, just remove that action on there and do it on change, that top one. This is probably actually more what you're going to want in practice anyway, because it won't jump around for the user. But yeah, preview this now.
Okay.
And this time it'll let you type whatever you want without changing it at first. And then as soon as you click off, it'll reformat it for you. Oh.
I think it's the substring values.
Yeah.
Because I think it's I don't remember the details because it's the index, right?
Well, it's like the starting index. And then I think in JavaScript, it's the length. But the reason at first I didn't do that is I think recently I did starting index length and it didn't work in Builder. And then I like changed it to starting index, ending index.
So I think the first value is where it'll start after, right? Or it's where it starts.
I thought it was like where it starts. I don't know. Like I would think for that
No.
first one, 0, 2.
And then the second number is where it ends.
Yeah. So that should be correct, right? Like 0, 1, 2 would be the third number.
I just don't know if it starts at 0 or 1.
Yeah, you could try doing 1, 3.
For the start right here.
Yeah, just to test
Okay.
that first one. No.
It's almost like the substring's not working at all, right?
Yeah.
Just putting the full value in there.
Yeah. It's just weird.
All right, so it's
Yeah,
because
we
we're
can-
already at 11:15. Do we need access to his project and fiddle around in there and check it out? See if there's
I don't think I'll do this right after this call. I don't need access to the project. I'll just create my own phone number input and test around and see if I can figure it out. I think like whatever the case, like we're really close here. You don't need to delete this or anything.
Okay.
But there's probably just some little tweak in there and then I can chat you and let you know.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Worst case, we can instead of substring, just use slice.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
That's usually what I use.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do everything.
Mhm.
All right, cool. Well, I know that we went over time, so we'll go ahead and end the call now. We'll be here next week and also in Discord. So if we didn't get to anything, I'm sorry, just chat us and we'll try and check it out. Thank you for joining us today and we'll see you next week. Bye,
Thanks, y'all.
everyone.
See you.
Yeah.
Thank you.